Sergeant Major is all alone in the battalion field.
Have you ever wondered what happens behind the glamorous screen of Hollywood? Beneath the shimmering lights and the captivating stories lies a dark undercurrent, a story of rivalry, tension, and untold truths. James Garner, known for his roles in Maverick and the Rockford Files, has kept a secret for decades. It wasn't just the on-screen performances that defined him. He had a stormy relationship with one of Hollywood's biggest icons, Steve McQueen. But what really happened between these two legends on the set of The Great Escape? A rivalry so fierce that it impacted their careers and left behind a trail of unspoken grudges. It's a story that's finally coming to light, long after both men have gone. But the real truth, the shocking revelations, are still left to be uncovered. Stick with us as we break the silence on what really went on between James Garner and Steve McQueen. James Garner's journey to Hollywood was anything but typical. Born James Scott Bumgarner on April 7, 1928, in Denver, Oklahoma, Garner's early life was marred by tragedy. Losing his mother at the age of 5 was just the beginning. His mother's death, the result of a botched abortion, left his father, Weldon Bumgarner, to raise him and his 2 brothers alone. But life would only get harder from there. Weldon, a hardware store owner, struggled to provide for the family, and when the store burned down, he turned to alcohol to cope. The impact was devastating. Garner and his brothers were neglected and subjected to cruelty. His stepmother, Wilma, added to the burden, treating them with disdain and often subjecting them to cruel acts, including forcing James to wear women's clothing as a form of humiliation. This toxic environment left deep scars on Garner, but it also forged his resilience. At the age of 14, Garner had had enough. After a particularly violent confrontation with his stepmother, he fought back in self-defense. And though his father intervened, it was a pivotal moment that changed the course of his life. Not long after, his father abandoned the family, leaving James and his brothers to fend for themselves. Despite these obstacles, Garner's determination and resilience allowed him to push forward. From odd jobs to a stint in the Merchant Navy, where chronic seasickness forced him to quit, Garner's early years were a struggle. But his big break came in 1950 when he was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. His time there was grueling. He was injured by mortar shrapnel just days after arriving, and later wounded by friendly fire. Despite his injuries, Garner never once boasted about his service. He downplayed his heroism, yet his time in the war played a pivotal role in shaping the man he would become. It also led to an unexpected survival skill, an intense aversion to garlic. This odd quirk, developed during his time in Korea, would end up saving his life when he avoided a poisoned meal because of its garlic content. Upon returning from the war, Garner took on a series of odd jobs, including working at a gas station and even as an underwear model. But his real fate awaited him when he crossed paths with Paul Gregory, a man who would become his agent. Gregory saw something special in Garner and pushed him to try acting. Initially dismissive, Garner's fate changed forever when he later saw Gregory's name on a talent agency sign. This chance meeting marked the start of his career in Hollywood. Garner's first role in the Kane Mutiny court-martial was small, but it opened doors to bigger opportunities. He soon found himself working alongside Marlon Brando in Sayonara, but it wasn't until 1957, when he was cast as Brett Maverick in Maverick, that his career truly skyrocketed. The show, which was initially met with doubt, became a massive success. Garner's unique charm and impeccable comedic timing made him a household name. However, this success wasn't without its struggles. Garner's disillusionment with Hollywood. James Garner's departure from Maverick wasn't just a career move, it was a direct result of the frustrations he had with the Hollywood system. In 1960, a writer's strike hit Hollywood hard, halting the production of many shows, including Maverick. Despite his rising star status, Garner was earning just $1,250 a week. When the studio laid him off due to the lack of scripts, he felt betrayed. What followed was a bold and game-changing move. Garner sued Warner Brothers for breach of contract. Hollywood was shocked, but Garner wasn't afraid to stand up for himself. His legal battle sent a clear message. He wouldn't let Hollywood studios dictate his career. Garner won the lawsuit, and the victory made waves in the industry. Warner Brothers tried to make amends by offering him a raise and a new contract, but Garner had grown disillusioned with the studio system. He felt like a puppet controlled by corporate executives, and he made the daring decision to leave Maverick. Despite the loss of its star, Maverick continued. Though the show never quite recovered from Garner's departure, the studio tried to replace him with a near look-alike actor, Robert Colbert, and introduced new characters, including Bo Maverick, played by a young Roger Moore. The changes didn't sit well with audiences, and the show struggled to maintain its magic. As Garner moved on to new projects, the void left by his departure lingered. The clash with Steve McQueen. One of Garner's most iconic roles came in the 1963 film The Great Escape. The film, based on a true story, tells the tale of a daring escape from a German POW camp during World War II. Garner's character, Henley, is resourceful and charming, while Steve McQueen's character, Cooler King, exudes a rebellious spirit. The film is known for its ensemble cast, which included legendary actors like Charles Bronson and James Coburn. But behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. Steve McQueen, still on the rise in Hollywood, was eager to make his mark in The Great Escape. However, his intense desire for more screen time began to create friction. McQueen, frustrated with his role and determined to stand out, demanded changes to his character. Director John Sturges, seeing McQueen's rising star power, allowed for revisions, adding the now iconic motorcycle escape scene to McQueen's role. This moment propelled McQueen to even greater fame. Yet, it wasn't just the character changes that caused tension. McQueen's on-set behavior, his aloofness, his eccentricities, created a divide between him and Garner. While McQueen arrived at the set in a Rolls-Royce and stayed in a private chalet, Garner remained down-to-earth, working closely with the crew and fellow actors. Garner's candor about McQueen's behavior in his memoir, The Garner Files, paints a picture of a man struggling with insecurity and jealousy. He described McQueen as a pain in the ass and compared his behavior to Marlon Brando's unpredictable nature. Despite the tension, Garner didn't see McQueen as malicious. He saw him as insecure. But McQueen's behavior, stemming from his deep-seated fears and self-doubt, made working together difficult. At one point, McQueen even falsely accused Garner of having an affair with his wife, Nyla. This baseless accusation only added to the strain between them, but Garner maintained a sense of compassion for McQueen, understanding the insecurities that fueled such behavior. The Hidden Side of Hollywood, Garner's memoir. In The Garner Files, Garner opened up about the darker side of his life and career. While most fans knew him for his charm and wit, few knew the battles he fought behind closed doors. He discussed his frustrations with Hollywood figures, including movie mogul Jack Warner, whom he described as one of the rudest men he'd ever met. He also revealed his experiences with substance abuse, including his experimentation with marijuana and other substances during his Hollywood years. It wasn't just the fame and fortune. Garner's life was also marked by struggles and vices that most never saw. But his relationship with Steve McQueen stood out as one of the most intriguing. Despite their rocky relationship, Garner never fully dismissed McQueen. Instead, he acknowledged the complexity of the man, an actor who relied more on his image than on his craft, yet one who couldn't escape the shadows of his own insecurities. James Garner's legacy. Garner's legacy is marked not just by his iconic roles in Maverick and the Rockford Files, but by the way he navigated the harsh realities of Hollywood. His candidness in his memoir gave fans an unfiltered look at the challenges he faced, both on and off screen. As he aged, his health began to decline due to the physical toll his career had taken. Yet, Garner continued to work, taking on roles in films like Space Cowboys, where he worked alongside Clint Eastwood and Tommy Lee Jones. Despite his health struggles, He remained a force in Hollywood until his passing in 2014. James Garner wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol of resilience in an industry that chews up and spits out its stars. His life story is a reminder that even the most beloved figures in Hollywood have their own battles. And while his relationship with Steve McQueen may have been marked by rivalry and tension, it also showed the complexities of two icons fighting for their place in an unforgiving industry. Did this story about James Garner and Steve McQueen surprise you? What do you think of their rivalry? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories from Hollywood's most iconic stars. See you next time.